I just wanted to say I appreciate everybody for taking the time today, joining this instructional call webinar. Um, really appreciate everyone's support in getting involved in this virtual event. We're excited to kick it off. Thus far, I think we'll probably hit somewhere around the 70 to 80 sponsors and exhibitor mark, which is really, really exciting for us. And, obviously we can't produce our events without every single one of our sponsors. And I just want to make it as clear as possible how much we appreciate and just beyond grateful we are for your participation. So thank you very much. And with that, I'm going to kick that over to Sarah Washler. Thank you very much.
Hi, everybody. Wonderful to see you all here virtually. I am going to take some time and walk you through the swap card platform and all the capabilities and how to build up your profile now that you all have access to the system. I did just want to point out that, first of all, we are recording this. So if you're not able to take notes down quick enough or anything like that, we'll be providing you with the recording later. And then also, if you have any questions, feel free to raise your hand or to put anything down in the chat within the platform, and we'll be sure to get to those questions. This is really going to be a very tactical approach discussion, so there may be some questions that maybe I won't be able to answer, and if that's the case, we will definitely come right back to you after the training. So with that being said, I'm going to take myself off video and start to share my screen. All right, if you guys can just let me know when you can see it.
Looks good.
We've got it.
I can see it. Good, Sarah.
Wonderful. All right. Well, the very first thing that everyone's going to need to do, if you haven't done so already, is to get registered for your booth staff for the event. That registration process happens within our exhibitor portal. It does not happen within the event platform. So you should have already received, all of the primary contacts should have already received an email, and that email will look similar to this email, where we're encouraging you to go into the Visit Exhibitor portal. It'll come from cpexpo@informa.com. It'll have your email address. You'll click in here, and that will take you to this page. If you've never logged into the exhibitor portal before and don't have a password, that's fine. Just click on Forget Password, and that will help you get logged in. This portal is different than the one that we've used from previous shows, but it is rather simple. The only thing you're going to be doing within the exhibitor portal is registering your staff. After that, everything else will take place within the swap card platform. So if you click on registration passes, you have a couple of different options. So right here is complimentary exhibitor staff. Anybody who's registered for this will be a member of your booth and will have access to your booth. You'll have access both to build your profile as well as access to hold meetings or respond to chats. As far as being a member of your company's listing, there is no difference between the registration packages that you're offered. They are all going to function the same for your company profile. If you would like to register somebody, just click on that new registration, fill in that contact information, and it will get them registered. If you need to do any additional passes, for example, if you exceed your allotment and you need to order more, you would do that down below by clicking on this passcode. In addition, depending upon the sponsorship type that you have, you may have some additional passes called the Exhibitor Standard Conference Pass. And that gives you access to not just your booth, but also to the content within the program. So I would reserve those passes aside to anybody on your team who really needs to participate within the agenda. If you need to exceed the number of passes that you're given per your sponsorship, you can always purchase more by clicking on this link for a discounted exhibitor standard conference pass. So that is how you're going to register your staff. Like I said, this is the only thing that you're going to do within within the exhibitor portal. At that point, everybody who is registered is going to get a receipt that looks like that, letting them know that they're registered. However, After that point, now that we are live with the platform, everybody will get a login to SwapCard, which is the virtual event platform for channel partners. That email is going to come from hello@swapcard.com. So you'll want to make sure that you whitelist that email company, that email address, to make sure that you and your team's able to get all of those login details. Once you get that email from swapcard.com, you'll be able to get into the virtual event platform. It's live already, and you can start to go in, access, and start to build out your profile, as well as build out some other features. Any questions so far about the registration process? Okay, great. So everybody on the call is registered as an exhibitor. And so what that means is you're going to see when you log in your company's booth right here. And that is what we refer to as the exhibitor center within the platform. If you click on that exhibitor center, this is where you're going to build out your profile, and you're going to just add your company products. You're going to add documents. You can see who's assigned to your team. And this is where you're going to create everything that an attendee is going to see during the event. So we definitely encourage you take some time and really build this out to be as robust as possible. You'll notice at the top that there's a video here, and this is a feature as well as an image that's available to anyone that has the brand Apex package. So it is an enhancement that is available, and if you don't have that and you're interested, you could just reach out to your account executive to talk about that option. This just helps, this can be honestly anything that you want in there as long as it's a YouTube link. We have seen some people use it as an information welcome. So it could be a welcome message that you provide to people, letting them know how to interact with you, or it could just be a video about your products, about your channel program, anything that you would choose. So if you were to go to update this, you would go here and click edit. And this is how you add it. You can add the image, or you can add the video. As you can see, it's a YouTube link, and you just add the tag at the end. You don't add the full YouTube link here. If you want, you can add your logo, which we of course recommend. And then from there, you can just toggle here through the rest of the information that you need to add. So for example, you could list your company profile, any details that you want to include. If you have products and services, I definitely recommend tagging those, because that will be included in a filter that attendees will be able to use to help find vendors throughout the event. So for example, I'm going to choose analytics, and you can choose multiple products by clicking here. This next welcome message we find to be important. We've pre-populated it with a basic welcome message, but this is something where you can greet people to your listing. Here we've decided to tell people how they can interact with you within the listing, and I'll get to that in just a moment. Next, I'm going to go to social media. You can obviously update it here. Again, please note that you're not putting in your full link. You're just putting in the tag at the end. Contact information, etc. All of that gets loaded here within the contact details. As we scroll down, you'll see that you can add what's called a product. Products are something that is going to be visible not just on your own listing, but attendees will also be able to search products in a product and services directory. We highly recommend taking advantage of the product offering. You can load up to 3 products per company. And when you do this, you're going to add it here. I'm just going to create a test one here, test and test. And what you can do is you can add a thumbnail image. It just has to be a square. There's no specifications of what you need to put there. And then you can, oops, my apologies. Let's see, we're going to use this image. As you can see, you're just going to be able to crop it if the image that you have itself isn't necessarily a square. And there you go. So these products will show up in the product directory, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment. I'm going to go back to that company profile. You can also add a document, though I will say the documents can be an upload. So that can be a PowerPoint, that can be an image, it can be a URL. However, a product, it must be a URL. And it looks like I need to fix something right here because it's not showing properly. But once you add this product, you'll be able to enter the URL, and you'll be able to add a category that is assigned to for that product. So I will make sure that that gets fixed right away. Any questions on products?
Yes. Wendy, hi, this
Sure.
is Patty Walkenhorst from CenturyLink.
Hello.
I'm so glad you're there because I experienced the exact same thing you did. And so I was trying to figure out what's behind that thumbnail. Like you put the help desk thumbnail there, but then it just said give a title and a description. So when my users go or my attendees go to look at it, I'm a little just confused. Okay, click on your little help desk. Like, what's behind it? You know, what do they actually get to see or read, or is there a call to action?
Sure. It looks like there's a functionality missing that I'm going to update, but every product is going to have the ability to have a URL assigned to
Okay.
it. So if you had a sales brochure, for example, you would need to host that on your website, and then you would include that URL within here.
On our internal website, like CenturyLink's
Exactly.
website. Okay,
Yes.
but then they could click on it. And so if ours is like on security, let's say, we could have some sort of URL that they can go to and watch
Exactly.
more about security or whatever.
Yes.
Okay, and the thumbnail, there's no specific dimensions that you can give us. You said it just is that where you kind
Yeah,
of move it
it's
over.
just a square. We don't have
Okay.
any specifications, but as you saw, once you upload it, you can toggle and you could shrink or enlarge, and you could take whatever snippet of the file that you have to make it a square.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. Okay, I am going to go back to my profile. I did want to say that what's great about the products is attendees can bookmark a product. So when they go to that product and services directory, which is what I just showed you right here, they can bookmark a product, for example, here. This is going to be bookmarked, it's added to their wish list, and now that becomes a lead for that company. So the attendee can either click on the product to get more information, and they'll do that, and they'll see your booth here, so then they could choose to navigate to your booth that way. Or they could just simply bookmark that product to find more information out later. And both of those are considered a lead and will be shared post-event. Products are also great because they have the ability to have categories assigned to them. So again, that's a feature that we'll fix right at the end of this call. And when you build out your products, you're going to choose the category that it can be a part of. And you can see here it says products at the top, but then there's going to be a list here of the categories that the product can be a part of. And that will allow the attendee, when they go in and use it, to easily search the products. Of course, there's also this search bar, so if what they're looking for doesn't fit a category, they could just type it in, such as 5G, and they'll find all products related to it. I will also say it doesn't truly have to be a product. It can be a service. It could be your incentive program. It could be anything about your channel program in general. So don't feel that it has to be tied to a specific tangible product. It can be also a service as well.
I have a question for you when it comes to naming products, services. I guess, should we be using industry keywords or truly naming the product as its name? If it's a brand itself, I mean, is there any guidance there or suggestion?
I don't think we have specific guidance. I would just think of it from the attendee experience and how you would want them to see your product. So if you want them to know the name of a program as opposed to a product, I would do that. If you feel that there's another way of approaching it, that's fine as well. Remember that you can provide a description, so you can always include those keywords within the description. And if they search in that product and services directory little search bar, they'll find it that way. So for example, if in the description here you had a specific word, they would find it here through the search bar.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, great.
Hey,
Um,
Wendy, real
sure.
quick before you go off products, you said like it doesn't have to be a product, it could be a service or incentives. If it's like an incentives, you still have to have a URL behind it, right?
Correct. You don't
You
have
can't-
to. And Matthew, I think I'll defer to you. You can create a product without the URL. Is that correct?
Oh, yes, that is correct.
Okay.
So could you have a document? Like if they click on, like when you said incentives, that kind of rang my bell and I'm like, oh, could we have a document that shows what the incentives are?
You could, but you would have to host that document within a URL. So
Okay.
there is something that's different than products, and I'm going to show you that in just a moment. So this might be what you're looking for, Patty.
Okay.
So I'm going to click right here and go back to my exhibitor center. As you can see that those are two different tabs. So you can toggle back and forth between the event as well as your exhibitor center where you build your profile. We talked about the products, but here's documents. Documents are a little bit more flexible in the sense that you can actually upload a file. It can be a PDF or a PowerPoint, an image, etc. What the limitation is, though, is it doesn't show up in the product services directory. A document really only lives within your exhibitor listing. So while it's a little bit more flexible in how you build it out and what you can upload, it really is only available on your booth. Though I will say it is also still a trackable lead. So if somebody clicks on a document within your profile, you will get post-show a list of those leads.
Okay. So we could put it there and somehow have them go to
Sure.
that?
And you know
Okay.
what I'm going to do is I'm going just to create a document right here so we can go back to that booth and you
Yeah.
can see what exactly that looks like.
Great.
Oh, I just typed something. Let's see. I'm going to just include a URL even though this is not necessarily how you'd want to do that. There we go. So now we have a document created. So within the profile, we've talked about how to build out your profile, how to add documents, how to create a product. And now we'll talk a little bit about meetings. And so to do this, what I'm going to do is toggle a little bit back and forth between this view, which is me as an exhibitor, as well as what an attendee view looks like. So right here, I'm in the exhibitor view, and this is where I'm going to see all of the meeting requests that an attendee has requested of my company. So this is not yet tied to an individual person. This is when somebody requested a meeting with my company. This is what it looks like. So I have a couple of meeting requests here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press reply. And here, I can choose the different team members and who I want to assign it to. So I'm going to assign this meeting to Jessie because say maybe I realize that they're in a specific region and she's the channel manager for that region. So I'm going to assign it to Jessie. Now this meeting is assigned to Jessie. She'll get a notification and that's now going to come out of her own personal calendar, which I'll show you a bit more later. So it's important to note, and this applies for everything within your profile, not just meetings, anybody who is a member of your booth has the ability to update your profile, create all those products and documents, and then view and assign meetings. So it's important for you to decide as an organization if you need to create some business rules. You might want to just assign that responsibility to one person, and you'll just have to communicate to your team members that, you know, Jane Doe is the only person that should be touching meeting requests. And then after that, you can export all those meetings if you'd like into an Excel document. You can do that during the event or after the event. Now I'm going to toggle back into the view of what it looks like for an attendee so you can see what they booked in order to make that happen. So this is the attendee view. So I'm here as an attendee and I'm visiting the help desk. And I apologize, this feature seemed to have been turned off. I had it on earlier, but right here there's going to be buttons that show what the different times are. So it'll say 8 o'clock, 8:20, 8:40, etc. And as the attendee, you'll be able to click on that booth and request a time. And then again, that's what it's going to look like when you are on the receiving end as an exhibitor.
Oh, and if you cancel that meeting request, you'll see the other times.
Oh,
So
is
it
that
only
why
lets
it's
you book
not there
one
anymore?
meeting at a time.
Oh, okay. I said I knew that I checked this beforehand. There we go. Magically appears. So this is what it looks like from an attendee perspective. If I'm an attendee going to visit the help desk and I want to meet with them, I click here, click the location, I make the introduction, and then, hello, let's. So that is now pending because I've requested it with this company. I can cancel that request and go back and see what it looks like. So just as a reminder, these meetings, when they're being requested, are being made at the company level. So an attendee is choosing to book a meeting with the help desk, and then you as the exhibitor will need to go in and assign that meeting to any of your booth staff so that way they could meet one-to-one. All meetings within the platform are one-to-one meetings, so that's something that you'll just want to consider.
I
Any-
have a question.
Sure.
This is Andrea from Nextiva. Is the meeting section of this website, does it have its own like unique URL where we could link to that from like a social campaign or in our emails to book a meeting with us?
What you would want to do is you would want to link to your booth.
Okay.
So you can create that as a link. People do have to be registered for the show to be able to view it. So if they click on that link, they'll still have to log in and they'll need to register for the event, but you can do that.
Okay.
Sarah, I have a question on this meeting versus the virtual meeting rooms. Is there a way to shut this down so you don't use this? Because now we have two ways of having meetings. It's a bit confusing.
Let me go back to you on that, Christina. I know there's a way to do that. I can shut this off, but I'm not sure that I can do it one off for each company. So let me take that down as a note and I'll get back to you.
Okay, and then with that also, maybe you could say for this versus that, which is better for us to use? I mean, would it be better to use this or would it be better to use the other one?
I think there's a lot of benefits to both. The benefit to the other virtual meeting room that you're talking about is you can have up to 50 people at a time. So it's just an open meeting where you can have larger groups connecting, whereas within the virtual event platform, they are just one-to-one. There isn't really a scheduling tool available for that other virtual meeting room. So I wouldn't necessarily use that for something where you need attendees to be able to book with you directly at a specific time. That open meeting room is really great for demos. It's great for meetings where you need multiple people in there together. But I think there's different use cases for each different room. Did that answer the question?
Yes, thank
Okay.
you.
Absolutely. It looks like we have a couple of other questions. Feel free to state those now if you go off mute.
Yeah,
Hi.
I'm sorry. This is Maria from Phoenix Snap. I'm just wondering how we can invite people to those virtual meeting rooms.
So the virtual meeting rooms are something that were booked directly through a sponsorship. So you would first want to check the sponsorship and make sure that you do have access to that meeting room. If you do have access to it, you can do one of two things. You could just simply post that link within your booth and link to it as a URL and just say, meet with us real time here. Link to it and people can meet with you directly. The downside with that is you really need to have somebody kind of sitting in that room all the time because people will kind of pop in and out. It's almost like literally sitting in a booth or sitting in a meeting room at the event. You're just sitting there waiting, for people to arrive. The other option is to designate somebody on your team to use it to create a calendar where you can schedule times within it. And in that case, you wouldn't necessarily publish the link for people to stumble upon it. You'd want to book the meeting and then share that link with your partners so they can meet with you then.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Hey, Sarah, real quick as a follow-up, that was a great suggestion to say like post the link to the meeting room. Where would you suggest we do that in the booth?
Sure. I'll go back to.
Would
I'll
it be in
go
the
back.
documents? Yeah.
Yeah, you could put it in as a document, and let's see, I'm going to go back here. What you could also do is go to your profile and you could just list it in your welcome message. So
cool.
if you remember here, there's a welcome message. Well, there's a welcome message, but there's also just your overview, and you could say, meet with our team real time, and then you just post the link right there.
Okay. And they'll be able to actually click on it right there.
Yep,
like when they,
absolutely.
Okay. And
I
can
will
we do
say-
that in the welcome message too?
Yeah, sure. You can tailor these two messages however you'd like. We've really designed the welcome message to be something that is a greeting to your booth and encouraging people to chat with you and to book a meeting. That's really the purpose of the welcome message, but you're free to tailor it however you'd like.
Hey, while you're there really quick, can you speak to the pavilions? Because I did ask that question in the chat, like what is that?
Sure, and that is something that we just created, and it's something that will likely not be a feature that you would be toggling. It's something that we created in the back end. So for now, I would just ignore that unless you get directions otherwise.
Got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I have a quick question. I think I maybe missed this, but can you clarify with me that seems like if you book a meeting, you are generally booking with the business, the company, not with the individual booth staff. Is that means that everybody will have the visibility for all the meetings, and is there everybody can go there and manage those meetings, cancel or reschedule, that type of thing? Is not like they schedule a meeting with a certain with particular booth staff, and only that particular booth staff have the ability to manage the meeting, or anyone else under this business can manage
Sure.
the meeting. Mm-hmm.
That's a great question. So the way that it works is an attendee will click on the time slot, and at this point, they are just booking a meeting with your company. And then what happens is you, as the exhibitor, can go in, you'll get a notification that a meeting request came in, and then you go in, press reply, and then you're going to assign it to a team member. So the meeting really can't take place until you assign it to an individual.
Okay, cool, awesome. So that means to make sure each meeting was properly managed and make sure it conducted on time, we have to keep monitoring the schedule, make sure it be assigned to the appropriate representative.
Exactly. You will get notifications when those meeting requests come through. So you may just want to have somebody on your team who's dedicated to keeping an eye on that. And then that person will assign the meetings. And then once the meeting is assigned, and Matthew, keep me honest here, I believe what happens is that individual will get a notification that the meeting has been assigned to them. Is that correct?
That's correct. So in the top right, where you see the little bell icon, if you're an individual staff member at a booth, you'll get a notification there saying a meeting's assigned to you. It will also show up in the My Event on your schedule. And then 10 minutes before the meeting starts, you'll get a notification, another reminder of the meeting. And then when the meeting starts, you'll get a pop-up to join the call.
Yep. And this right here, I just assigned myself to this meeting. And so now, just as he said, I went to the notifications and you'll see this new meeting has been assigned to me.
Okay. Awesome. Cool. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Is there a way to turn off, as an admin, and then we have all of the additional reps that are going to be part of our company? Is there a way to turn off those notifications for everyone else so they're not getting inundated with emails? It's typically been confusing. We've had another virtual event where people were kind of scrambling to figure out who was supposed to do it. And even though I'm, managing it as the admin, I think there's still some confusion. Is it just going to go out to everybody then that we've registered, or is there a way to turn it off, like I said, just so that I'm receiving those notifications?
Great question.
So I will defer again to Matthew on this. I think I know the answer, but I want to hear what he says.
Yeah, sorry, my speakers cut out there. Could you, Sarah, can you summarize that question for me?
Sure. She was asking if we could turn off the feature for other members of the booth so they don't get the notification for meeting requests. So maybe only one specific person gets those notifications.
Oh, okay, that's correct. So basically, if you tap on your team, Sarah, the bottom option on the left, this will show you all of your booth staff. When you add a booth staff, you can also edit what access they have. So we can make any of these people a booth manager. It looks like, it looks like that option is not available for you here. But basically, let's say you have 10 people at your booth, we could make, say, 3 or 4 of them booth managers. And those booth managers would have the ability to assign meetings, and other people would not have the ability. Same thing with responding to chat messages. You could have some people have the ability to respond to the private attendee to booth chats, and other people not be able to respond. And then finally, where you see the show profile option, let's say you have 10 people from your company coming to the event. Maybe one of them is like an executive who's coming to give a session, but they don't want to be listed as one of the attendees in the booth. You could tap on that toggle, and then they'll still be associated with your booth, and you'll still be able to assign meetings to them. But the attendees who come to your booth will not be able to choose a meeting with them or choose to exchange contact info with them.
And if it's all right with everybody on this call, I need to collect a little bit more detail about that, and then we'll share that with you a little bit later more about those features.
Thank you.
Sure. So I think that covered everything from the meetings perspective.
Sorry, Sarah.
Sure.
Can I ask a question,
Of
please?
course.
So you mentioned when someone, it's Marco from InfoBip, you mentioned that when someone arranges a meeting, it's one-on-one. So when they do that, can we contact them and, let's say, reroute them to virtual meeting room, send them a link or something?
Sure, absolutely. You can have a conversation with them, and then you can connect with them directly within the platform and then send them the link to the virtual meeting room.
Cool. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Sarah, we have a couple raised hand features. I just want to make sure
Sure.
we have those before Anne Marie.
Yeah, Sarah, so I have a question. So for example, if somebody requests a meeting with our company, for example, at 8 o'clock, so only one booth staff member can have a meeting, right? At that time. Can we have like multiple meetings a date for example, at 8 o'clock? Like, I don't know, 6 or 5 booth members can have the same meetings or not?
So that is a great question, and something I didn't cover yet. The number of meetings that can be booked for your company is based on the sponsorship package that you have. So and Thomas, correct me if any of this had changed, but for brand experience, you can have 3 meetings running at the same time. Brand Apex are 6, featured sponsor 8, and then so on and so on. So the number of meetings that somebody can request in a specific time slot, so running at the same time, is dependent upon your sponsorship package.
That is correct. It aligns perfectly with the amount of passes you have, essentially.
Okay, and just really quickly, so the changes on the platform, do we need to be registered before, or we can make, like, I don't know, outside of that register stuff?
So everything happening within this platform, you do have to be registered. So that first step would be to register anybody who needs access to the platform using this exhibitor portal right here. And then after that happens, you don't really have to go back to the exhibitor portal unless you have to make changes to badges. After you register, then everything happens within this platform.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. It looks like one other question, Jill.
Oh,
Joe,
I'm sorry. I already asked my question.
oh, okay,
I
perfect.
should lower my hand. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. Amy, did you have a question as well?
Yes. How long does it take from when you register your booth staff to them showing up in the swap card?
It should be relatively instantaneous. So there is integration so that it ties. Every now and then there's a little bit of a delay, but it should be rather quick.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. Kelly, did you have a question?
Hi there. Yeah, this is Kelly from 5'9". Are there going to be designated hours? I know I asked this a little bit earlier before we committed, but are there going to be designated hours for meetings or for booth coverage, or is that at our discretion? I'm curious how that works. Thank
Yes,
you.
there definitely is, and I'm going to go back right here so you can see what those are, which is another point that I wanted to cover. These times are showing in your time zone. So whatever time zone and that speaks for everything that's happening within the platform. Everything on our agenda on our website is set to Eastern Standard Time. However, if you're Pacific time, such as myself, it's going to show in Pacific time. So you'll just want to keep in mind when communicating with people, if you say, let's meet at 8 a.m., that might be your 8 a.m. and their 11 a.m., etc. But here are the time zones. So it's roughly 8 to 2 on Tuesday, 8 to 2 on Wednesday, and then 8 to 11 on Thursday. So those are the specific times that you can have an actual meeting. That's not to say that you just can't connect with somebody, and I'm going to show you how to do that shortly. And then you could choose to have a phone call later outside of those hours, but to have an official meeting within the virtual event, those are the set times.
Okay, so those are for meetings, and then there'll be open hours for the booth. I'm
Sure.
not real familiar with the virtual concept, so
Yeah,
thanks.
absolutely. So this is you teed it up perfectly, because that was what I was going to talk about next, is our chat feature within the booth. So in addition to being able to book a meeting, an attendee can come to your desk, and remember, this is the view of me being in here as an attendee looking at an exhibitor's booth. They can chat with you right here. So this is a private chat box. It may appear to be just a world-facing a chat feature where everybody can see it, but just rest assured that this takes place directly with the attendee and then your booth staff completely. And I'll show you what that means. So I've done this test message, hello. I'm going to just do it again. Hello again. And this is what I see as an attendee. But then if I go back to my exhibitor tab, I'm going to go to this little chat bubble right here. As you saw, there was a notification. And I'm toggling now between my personal chats as well as the help desk chats. And here you go. This is me as an exhibitor responding to an attendee. Nice to meet you. Now, what's important to note is, again, anybody from your company who's a member will see this in their chat feed, and anybody can respond. So from an attendee, they're just seeing that they're chatting with the help desk, but anybody could pop in and create a conversation and answer back. So let me go back again to what it looks like for the attendee. Now they see, nice to meet you, and they just have that conversation back and forth. So again, if an attendee is chatting here, another attendee could be chatting, and they'll see a completely different message. This is a personalized private chat box that they have. And then they can choose to connect with each other. So if somebody from your company is responding to somebody and you really want to connect with them and then therefore turn them into a lead for you, you can then take this conversation off of the chat box and you can go and connect with them. So I'll show you what that looks like. I think it's very important to note that this is those are the two activities that you're really going to see within your listing during the event. What you don't see is if somebody is just viewing it. What you see only is if real time, you see if they're chatting with you and if they book a meeting. Now, after the event, you will get a list of leads of people that bookmark your company. So again, I can click right here and bookmark, and now I've turned into a lead for the help desk. If I bookmark a product or if I click on the document, I then also become a lead. So while those are not instantaneous, you'll still get that data. But as far as what real time you're going to see during the event, you're going to see people that are chatting with you and people that are booking a meeting with your company. Does that all make sense so far? Any questions about how that booth functions?
So when someone sets up a chat or initiates a chat, a message goes to one of the booth staff, is that correct?
Yes, it goes to all
Okay.
the booth staff.
To all booth staff.
And
Okay,
yep,
thanks.
and then they will be able to toggle between their own personal chats as well as the booth chats to be able to respond. When they're responding as a booth staff member, they're just responding with the company name. The attendee doesn't see that they're chatting with Jane Doe, for example.
Got it. Thank you.
So
Sure.
does the time zone go by the company or by the attendees, like the booth staff or anybody that we're assigning?
Sure. The time zone goes by what your computer is set to. So my computer is set to Pacific, so it's showing 8 a.m. But if I was an attendee and I was on the East Coast and I went to the help desk, this would say 11 a.m., 11:20, 11:40, etc.
Okay, so it's by computer.
Yes.
Sarah, you had indicated, or I think Matt did actually, that we can set up booth managers and chat managers, so only certain people would get those company chats that come in. Is that correct?
So I need to learn a little bit more of that feature, and I'll definitely get back to you all after this
Okay.
because I had been told something different. So I just want to learn a little bit more, and I'll get back to you.
Great, thank you.
Sure. So I think that covers everything within the booth, and I wanted to show you some of the other features of the event that are really important ones, unless anybody had any further questions about the booth. Okay, great. So I'm going to stay in here as the attendee, and I'm just going to navigate through a couple of key areas. The agenda is this button right here. And what you see in the agenda is going to be based on the package that you have. So if you recall, if you register for booth staff, you may not see all of the items in the agenda here that might not be available for the booth staff. But for the people who really need to sit in on the sessions, you'll want to make sure that they have that standard pass so that way they can take care of participate in content. There are some sessions that you will have just as booth staff, such as keynotes and such. So there will be items to participate in. It's just not going to be as a complete of a list as if you have that standard pass. It's important to note that if you go into this agenda, you can do a couple things. You can bookmark this, so that way it becomes a part of your schedule. You can filter based on the type of session as well as track. And then, of course, there are keywords that you can use to enter, so that way you can see a session on a specific topic. When you click on the session, there's a couple key things to note. All of the sessions will launch right when the time starts. So if this session is supposed to start at 7:40 and you go in before it, you're just going to see this box. And then when the time starts, it will turn into a video. So just because it doesn't look like a video yet, it will turn into one when that time comes. Then in addition, you'll be able to see who the speakers are and connect with them this way. And another really great feature is you can see the attendees who've bookmarked that session. So this is a really great networking feature. If you notice something on the agenda that's really related to your company's products and services, we definitely encourage you to not only participate in that session, but you can see who's bookmarked that session so you can hopefully reach out to them and try to connect with them that way. So for example, I see that my colleague Jean has done that. So I now want to connect with Jean. So I clicked on her name and I'm going to send a connection request. I can also see the other sessions that she's attending. What's really great is once somebody accepts your connection request, they are now a contact for you and you can collect all those leads real time. And the way that you're going to do that is by clicking on this little profile right here. I don't have any connections right now, but you would see that and you would be able to download any of those contacts that I've personally made you can download those right here real time. So those are the instantaneous leads that you'll be able to get during the event. Now, you do need to actively go out and contact people, and people may contact you. If they contact you, there's still a connection for you as well. But we are highly encouraging people to participate in sessions, especially ones that you feel are really relevant to your company, and see who else might be interested so that way you can strike up a conversation with them, connect, and network that way. Also within the session is a chat feature. So we are going to be encouraging people to chat questions within here. The speakers or our own team will be in answering questions. You can also ask a specific question. And if you ask a question here, other people can upvote it, and that way it gets a little bit higher to the top for higher visibility for a speaker to respond. So again, if this is a topic that you're really interested in, we definitely recommend that you look at that chat feature, see who's engaging around that topic, and you'll be able to connect with them just by clicking on their name. We are asking that that chat feature be limited just to topics about the event. We're not encouraging you to post your listing in there or directing people to LinkedIn profiles, things like that. We do really need to keep it relevant to the topic, but you should be able to use that as a great tool for finding people who are interested in a specific session. You'll also notice that this right here is a suggestion box of what you may like. And that's important to note because this platform is fueled by AI. So the information that is in your company profile, as well as what you do within the platform, is helping to fuel recommendations throughout the event. So the more sessions that you bookmark or participate in, the more companies that you visit, the more products you bookmark, etc., that is going to fuel the AI, and you'll start to see more recommendations. So it really is a really great, robust platform the more that you use it. So we highly recommend that once you have access, you go in and really start saving things and bookmarking things, so that way you can start to get more relevant recommendations. All of those recommendations or all those things that you bookmark are going to be in my event. So I've clicked here. Now I see all the sessions that I've bookmarked. I see the meetings that are scheduled for me. And this is a really important note. As an individual, I can choose to make myself unavailable during certain times. Unfortunately, we don't have that feature for a company. But if you are an attendee and you want to sit in on sessions from 10 to noon and you don't want to have meetings at that time, you can make yourself unavailable during those times. Any times that any meetings that you have booked will be displayed here. If you click onto my networking, Matthew, can you talk a little bit more about this tab? I will be honest, I don't have much information on that one.
Yeah, the My Networking, that shows you as an individual, say, salesperson, all the people that you've connected with. So when you're in the exhibitor portal and you look at all of the Teams contacts, that shows you all of the contacts that each of your individual colleagues have met. But in this section, when you tap on My Networking, it just shows you your own personal contacts.
Perfect, thank you. And then you'll also see here my bookmark companies. And I bookmarked Help Desk, so now I can go back here. You can also export the calendar. And it's important to note you can export this as I believe, a Google Calendar or Outlook calendar, and it will add to your personal calendar. However, it's just a one-time download. So I don't recommend doing that until really close to the event, because if we have to make some tweaks to the agenda, it's not going to get reflected in that download. But we do recommend doing that if you'd like to sync it with your own personal calendar. The next tab is one that we're definitely encouraging you to use as much as possible, and this is the Attendees tab. This is where you'll have visibility into who is participating in the event. Again, this is all fueled by AI, so the people you should meet are based on how I've interacted within the platform and how my profile is filled out. So we encourage that to be as robust as possible. In addition, we have some filters along the side, mostly the business type. So if you're only interested in finding agents, you can click on that and it will it will show you who those people are. You can obviously click on multiple ones, and it will show you all of the people that fit into those categories. If you want to connect with somebody, what you would do is you would click on this little icon. And just like we saw before when I tried to connect with Jean, you have two things that you can do here, two actions. You can connect, and I'm going to send him a message, just like in LinkedIn. You want to provide a little bit of information as to why you're trying to connect with them, so that way they're a little bit more likely to respond. Then you press that send connection request, and once they accept, you two are now connected. Then in addition, you can also choose a time from their personal calendar of when you'd like to meet with them. I don't recall if I touched on this earlier, but if this person is a member of a booth and he's been assigned a meeting from his booth, that time will then disappear from his personal calendar. In addition, if I request a meeting with him and it's pending, it's still removed from his calendar, so that way multiple people can't book the same time slot with him. You'll see also that some skills are in here. We encourage you to go into that edit profile to update it as much as possible. Update your bio, your social media, contact information. It's pretty robust information that you're going to get by clicking on an attendee. What you're not able to necessarily see in here is, are they technically an exhibitor versus attendee? There's no tag in here for that, but you are able to sort based on this business type. This is the area that we definitely recommend utilizing as much as possible. Being thoughtful and looking through and making sure that you're reaching out to people that are relevant to your business. But what we recommend doing is taking the time while you're within the platform to be actively searching for people to connect with. It's great. You'll get hopefully a lot of connections of people reaching out to you within your listing. But in addition to that, we encourage everybody on the team to be actively trying to connect and network with people within the platform. Any questions on the attendees?
I have a question real quick. So, and I apologize if you answered this already, but I must have missed it. When those meetings are requested and you know, the time it's assigned to whatever booth rep or these individual meetings happen, how do the actual meetings take place? Are they, is it just a chat between the two of them, or is there a voice platform or video?
Yes, there's a video platform, but you could also just do audio. So an hour before the meeting happens, when you go into my event and you go into my meetings, you'll see the ability to instantly start that call. And then 10 minutes before, you'll also get a reminder. But once that meeting time slot happens, you'll see that video call be enabled, but you could also do it just as audio.
Okay.
But just a reminder, those are one-to-one meetings.
Right.
But you can, I believe, also like attach files. So if within it you wanted to send them a prospectus or something like that, you can do so.
Okay, great.
Sure. Any other questions about attendees? Okay.
Yes. Can each member of the booth staff technically reach out to an attendee to make a meeting with them?
Yes, absolutely.
Do they? Okay. Or do they have to be like a specific manager of the booth staff or something like that?
Nope. As an exhibitor, you're going to have access to connect with everybody that's within the platform. There are some attendee types where they may not be able to connect with everybody. So that's one of your benefits of being exhibitor, is that you have access to more people within the platform. So if somebody was just an attendee, they might not be able to connect with certain other attendees, but they will all be able to see you, and you will be able to see all of those individuals.
Okay, just wanted to make sure we can actually initiate meetings too.
Yes, absolutely.
Got it.
Are those filters on the left part of the profile as each individual attendee sets up their profile, or how do those filters get assigned?
Yes, correct. So when they register, they'll answer this question, and that is attached to their profile.
Sarah, so we can connect with the attendees, or we can arrange directly meeting? Is there some best practice? I don't know. Is it better to connect and then arrange a meeting, or vice versa, or is it not so important? What do we do? Do we connect or not?
I think personally, I would recommend connecting first and then booking the meetings. But I think there's nothing to stop you from just doing the meeting initially, and I'll show you what that process looks like. So if I wanted to connect with Hannah, or I'm sorry, if I wanted to book a meeting with Hannah, I'm going to click on that. I'm not actually going to do it, but as you can see, there's no real way to send a note or anything like that. So if you wanted to make sure she understood why you were trying to meet with her, I would recommend doing that connection request first.
Okay.
I also believe the next screen after you click on that, there is a message box.
Okay. Thanks for the people on this call that are keeping me honest. I appreciate it. Thank you. I think, Matthew, that's what you were going on screen to say as well.
Yeah, the same thing. So
Okay.
so yes to that, and then secondly, also if you send somebody a meeting request, it will also generate a connection. If they request it, it will also do a connection request at the same time. And then I did want to clarify from the question from earlier. I did check with our event team, and they did confirm that anyone added as a booth staff will have access to accept or decline or sign meetings and respond to chat messages. And I was mistaken about that, so I apologize. And also all of those people will also have the ability to respond to chat messages. You cannot limit that to a certain group of people.
Thank you. Appreciate the clarification. Andrea, it looks like you have a question.
I asked it already. Sorry about that.
Okay, perfect. No problem. And Julian, did you still have a question as well?
No, I just haven't put my hand down. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. All right, perfect. So just in summary, as I mentioned before, we definitely recommend using this to really make the most out of your time within the event. Sorry, somebody had a question.
I was just going to actually mention here for everybody on the call, you know, when talking to your channel managers as they're going out trying to make connections with all the participants, if any of them are interested in the content sessions they're enabled to participate in and view, as you watch that session, when you exit that page, that window will stay on your screen so that you can actually stay listening to the content as you use the other sections of the platform. So you can, there's ways to stay engaged throughout the whole duration of the event while still taking in that content that we're going to be providing.
That's a really great point. Thank you for raising that, Tom.
Hey, Sarah, this is Joy with GigTel. Question for you about registering all of our team members. You said that they'd receive an email upon notification of being registered. I checked with my team members while we were on this meeting, and nobody's received an email. Is there a delay, or did I jump the gun on this?
There shouldn't be a delay. What we can do is you can connect with me after this event. I can look into it. I would also recommend just making sure that hello@swapcard.com is whitelisted to ensure that your email platform isn't blocking those emails. But if that's not the case and for some reason you haven't gotten it, I'm more than happy to resend those out for you.
Okay, I will check with my team when I hang up with you, and we'll go from there.
Sounds great.
Hi, when we are talking now about receiving those emails, I have received them before, but there is no link in that email. So I'm not quite sure how we can connect to this platform to create the virtual booth.
So
again?
Is it the email that looks like this one that says your
No.
receipt? Thank you for registering.
No, not that
No.
one.
It's the one that comes from SwapCard, and you said
Yeah.
that there's not a link. So will you do me a favor after this event? Will you forward me this email? My email address should be in the calendar invite. If not, I'll add that to the chat, or one of my colleagues can do that for me, and I'll take a look and see if something needs to be fixed within that email.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Okay, great. I wanted to move on to the next feature, which is meet sponsors and exhibitors. So this is the full robust exhibitor listing. This is where your company's profile is going to be shown. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on one of these profiles and you'll see pretty much everything that we went through with that help desk sample that I showed you. If you had an image at the top or the video, it was going to be showing right here. This is where a client can bookmark you. This is where they can book a meeting, etc. So all of that information is here available by clicking on the booth. And give me just one moment. I'm going to check on one thing. What I don't see here is that chat feature, that chat box that we talked about, but that will be enabled so people will be able to chat with your booth. So from an attendee perspective, if I was to go in and I wanted to meet with the sponsors and exhibitors, I'm going to click here. I can filter based on the sponsorship type, but then I can also filter on their products and services. So when you're building that profile, I would make sure that you pay close attention to what products and services you assign to your profile, because then that will direct whether you appear in this search term. So if I click here, you're going to see all the companies that are flagged for business and productivity systems. In addition, you can also just, again, like all the other features, just type in for a keyword and you can find exhibitors that have that keyword in their profile. In addition, the attendee can bookmark an exhibitor. So, if they're interested, for example, in meeting with the client, but they're not ready to really dive into it just yet, they can bookmark it and that will become a lead for you post-event. Any questions about that exhibitor listing?
Hey, Sarah, not so much about the exhibitor listing, but I didn't have a chance to go off mute when you were talking about the chat box.
Sure.
When will that become active for us to see? Because I don't see it in my booth today.
Yeah, I'm going to look into it right after this call.
Okay,
So
thank you.
the good news is attendees aren't in the platform just yet. I believe they get access to it next week. So we'll make sure that it's active before then.
Okay, thanks.
Sure. Okay, then the next item that we're going to talk about, products and services, we've already covered, but hopefully now that we've kind of gone through it a little bit more, it makes a little bit more sense. I definitely recommend, as I said, taking advantage and using all of your allotment to have products, because that way an attendee can find information about your company just by searching in here, not necessarily by going to your listing. So it's just another way for attendees to find out about you. We haven't talked about it yet, but there is a speakers tab. Anybody who's a speaker at the show will be listed here. And if you click on this, you're going to see the session that they are participating in. So if you knew that you wanted to see a specific session by a speaker, but you didn't remember what their session name is, I recommend going through it this way. And if that speaker is a member of a booth, that company is going to be listed here as well. A couple of these different areas may or may not be visible. For example, this MSP 501 chat will be visible to certain people, so you may not see this visible within there. In addition, we have an analyst corner, and this is just an open chat lobby. So there's a little description here. It says if you have questions that weren't answered, this is a chance for you to meet with analysts and to ask them questions. This is not private. This is public. So this is just going to be one long chat feed. But if you wanted to specifically ask questions of analysts, they're going to be invited to keep an eye on this chat and answer questions. But just as a reminder, you could go here and say, oh, well, I'd really like to connect with Heather. So then you go to the attendees tab and then connect directly with Heather. This help desk will be open during the event. It's not open just yet. But during the event, if you're having technical issues or anything like that, you can click on the help desk and we can help provide support to you that way by just using that chat feature that we talked about. And then we do have our sales lounge, just like you would find at a live event. We'll have our sales team available. If you need to chat with your account executive about anything in particular, you can click on this sales lounge, you can chat, you can book a meeting, and then our sales team will be listed on here. They're not just yet, but they'll be listed here and you can connect with them directly. Let's see. I talked a little bit about leads, but I just kind of wanted to reiterate a couple of details. Just as a reminder, the instant leads that you're going to have access to are the people that you connect with in the platform. So again, you get to that by clicking on this button. All those contacts will show here, and you can download a report, including contact information of those people. So the more active and the more connections you have, the more instantaneous leads that you're going to get. The remaining leads, which are going to be people who bookmarked your company, people who bookmarked your product, or people who clicked on one of your documents, those leads are going to be sent post-event. It's not, unfortunately, immediate, as we do have to scrub for data compliance before it gets sent to you. So just know that you will be getting those leads, but it will not be immediate right after the show. Let's see. I wanted to talk a little bit about the analytics. And I'm going to toggle right here. I'm now back in my exhibitor service center. So here I am. Here I am as my my help desk. I'm logged in as an exhibitor. These are some basic analytics that you'll be able to see during the event. So while you're not necessarily going to be seeing who's clicked on your profile at that time, you're going to get an idea of interactions real time by clicking on this exhibitor center. So honestly, during the event, you shouldn't necessarily need to be in this exhibitor too much, but it is available to you for those types of features during the event.
Come here, buddy.
Let's see. Oh,
Sarah?
Sure.
Sorry, before you leave that screen, I noticed that my analytics are already tracking because I'm going in there and adding stuff. Is that going to be reset to 0 on Tuesday the 8th so that we get fresh, clean data, or on the 25th when it opens up?
I don't believe so. No. Matthew, is there any way to reset that?
I don't believe it is reset, but it's typically such a small amount of data, it's not going to impact your overall data.
Well, I've already had 10 visits, so.
What I'd recommend
hopefully
doing,
get a lot more.
Yeah, what you may want to do is just take a screenshot right before the event.
Yeah.
So if you're really concerned about what's happening during the event, that way you can subtract it out.
Okay. And Matthew, I tried to IM you privately, but it'd be great for a future edition to have that booth manager, only the people that can control the meeting invites or scheduling and the chats. That would be awesome because I have 60 people attending.
I definitely agree. I've already submitted that here as a request. So
Awesome.
definitely agree.
Thank you.
One little final detail that I want to point out is for those of you that have participated in a virtual event within the same platform, but not necessarily just channel partners. So for example, if you are at Black Hat or Enterprise Connect, you can get into the platform by going to app.swapcard.com. And a lot of the shared information between those events are there. However, I highly recommend, if you can, making sure that you're logged in to the specific application for just channel partners. So when you click on the link that we send you to registration, it will take you just to the channel partners branded application. However, if you just go to your browser and type in SwapCard, you might see just app.swapcard.com, and you're going to see a little bit more information that way. So I recommend going to just the channel partners version so that way you can see just what you're doing within the platform. And then also just a friendly reminder, we will have the mobile app available. We definitely encourage you to download the mobile app. You can multitask doing that as well. The notifications that we will be sending through the platform actually come through as push notifications in the mobile app if you set your settings to do so. So that way it's just a little bit extra visibility for those notifications if you'd like. Some people might watch the videos on their phone and do everything else within the application. So you can do that as well. I think I've covered everything on my bullet points that I wanted to review. So I'd like to open it up to any other questions. I know we've gone over our time, but I'm definitely happy to stay on to answer any other questions you might have.
Is that mobile app iPad or just phone?
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's iPad. but Matthew, is that correct?
Matthew had to leave the call, but I could
sorry.
reach out to him to confirm.
Yes, thank you.
Changes.
Sarah, where do you get the link from the app?
We'll be sending that out, but you should
Okay.
just be able to go to the App Store and search channel partners, but we'll send out that information to everybody.
Okay, thanks. I
Sure.
need to drop, but this was really helpful. Very great information, Sarah. Thanks, and I'm glad we're recording it. So I appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Yes, we'll send this around afterwards, and then also we'll add it to our exhibitor guide, so that way you can just access the link through there.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, this is Shauna with 8x8. I have a question about the chat session. Is that opening up on the 25th as well?
Yes. So
the chat box.
yeah, at that time, attendees will be able to view your booth, and they'll be able to start chatting with you. At that time, they'll be able to start connecting with you. So while the event isn't happening, I definitely recommend going in, somewhat regularly and checking to see if anybody has chatted with you. We do send out, or I should say the platform does send out emails. I believe it's once every 4 hours. So if somebody tries to connect with you and you haven't actioned on it just yet, you will get an email notification about that.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Hi, Sarah, and I got another question. I just want to clarify with you that from an exhibitor point of view, as the booth rep go out to connect with the attendees, there's multiple actions they can do. They can connect, they can book a meeting, they can chat with them. All these available actions for them to do. Is there one restrict the other? For example, you have to connect before you can do chat or booking meeting, or you have to do one first before you can go further interactive. Does that make sense?
Sure. Yes, absolutely. You do have to chat, or you do have to connect or book a meeting before you can chat with somebody. So as you saw, I requested a meeting with somebody, and I was able to just send a message, but we wouldn't be able to send messages back and forth unless we actually connected with each other. You can at that time, and let me see if I can do this. You can, just by going to a connection or going to the chat, do the video right here. So you don't necessarily have to have a meeting booked. You can just launch a video call. But I personally, from a user experience, would recommend just trying to stick with the booked meeting times unless that other person is expecting a video call to come through from you.
Okay. So the best, I wouldn't say necessarily it's a best practice, but it would be nice just go out, connect first as just from user experience point of view, and then go deep further, more engaging. But the best thing to do is just get connected first, then you will have more options, go further into engaging with the attendee.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything further? Any other questions that I didn't get a chance to cover? Okay, great. Well, I greatly appreciate everybody's time. Tom, I'm not sure if you had anything else to share with the group?
No, I think you covered it and nailed it. Really appreciate this, Sarah, and for everyone still remaining on the call, really appreciate you all sticking around, joining this. And if you should have further questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. We are here and we are happy to help, and we're excited for you all to be involved in the event.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day.